Movie Script is the first single to be taken from Mumbai-born, London-bred, New York-based composer and multi-instrumentalist A-Zal's forthcoming album 17 and 11 Nights. The 10-track album is influenced by British and American pop across eras that A-Zal describes as a blend of some high-octane tracks and also some singer-songwriters tracks like Ed Sheeran's. He, in fact, recently released his own versions of Ed Sheeran's Perfect, which you can actually catch on A-Zal's website. The song that you've said really lived with you like no other and has given you great inspiration. And A-Zal is joining us now. How are you doing, A-Zal?
I'm doing well. How about you? Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Yes, it's a pleasure to have you on the show there. Talking to you. Whereabouts am I talking to you from? Are you over in the States there?
Oh, yeah, I'm in New York.
You're in New York. Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, the Big Apple there. And is it being kind to you?
New York has been way beyond kind to me because I think it just changed the course of my life, literally, because whatever I have done in whether it's movies or music overall, I probably wouldn't have done it if I wasn't a New Yorker.
Yes, indeed. And a lot of people do very well when they go over to New York as well. Seems to be, as they say, the land of opportunity or the city of opportunity.
Absolutely. I think the country itself is just, where dreams come true, and New York is the best place to be in. If you're like here with something to achieve, and it's just done so many things to me.
Now, you grew up in Hounslow in London and went on to study classical piano, orchestration, also arranging quartets and quintets, opera and Western voice modulation from the alumnus of Royal College of Music. You then joined Indian rock band Nemesis on lead guitar and vocals. The band became one of the most popular in the region and are considered to be one of the pioneers of the alternative rock music in India. What was it like joining the band and being pioneers of alternative music in India?
It was quite unexpected, to be honest, because rock was like really picking up. This I'm talking about like 10 years ago, and the entire culture was really driven at that time, and we didn't have these are days before dubstep and electronic took over.
Yes,
and for that matter, hip hop and rock. Yeah, so it really gave us a lot of traction, and we landed up starting off with heavy metal bands like Iron Maiden. We did Pearl Jam and grunge.
Wow.
System of a Down. We covered so many of these cool bands, and of course we had our originals. But the fact that we all believed in one vision, it really took the band to the success that it got.
And did you have a big, massive fan base?
Oh yeah, massive. We had a massive fan base, for sure. A set of I always believe, in the super fans who would, even if they're 1,000 or 500 or 10,000, whatever it is, but if they are turning up for all your gigs, that's what makes an artist, I feel. And we had those super fans, so absolutely privileged to be a part of that. But of course, then I took a transition into film music and then now pop. But that is one of the stepping stones into music.
And were you always into music when you were growing up?
So the best part about my childhood, I was born in India, but I spent some of the most memorable and beautiful years in London, UK.
Yeah.
I was around 6 or something when we moved there with my parents, and that's the time where you actually start getting senses. You're getting out of the baby phase and you're like being projected to things. My life revolved around just 2 things. One is the Premier League,
yes,
and one And talking about the days with Eric Cantona and Ryan
Oh
Giggs,
yes, Arsenal.
yeah, I mean, Man United. Then I
Man
was like, for
United.
some time, Liverpool, Arsenal. I wrote letters to them. I got returns.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so, yeah, literally. I remember getting I think it was Liverpool that sent me a letter with my name on it. And back then we didn't have social media. I'm talking about 96 or something, 92, 93. I don't remember.
Yes.
But that was one thing. The second thing was music. So I had picked up with some of my pocket money on the Saturday flea market at Hounslow, a
Right.
radio. And I
Wow.
would just listen to the radio and, just that's these two things are the only things my life depended on, literally. And that's where British pop, I always say, has influenced my music. And British music is so rich. It's always been, and even now, I mean, you have the world's best artists, coming up from one of the countries, which is, UK. So, yeah, to answer your question, it's had a huge role in my growing up and my music influences.
And who would you say are your musical influences from back then and even to today?
Well, back then, it was a blend of a lot of things that I would hear. Like I said, we started off with even Iron Maiden. So I would hear anything that would come my way. And one of the first things that I remember distinctly was Nirvana as well, like listening to a lot of Nirvana songs and a mix of all these things. And something very interesting is I kind of got lucky because I got projected to even classical music by Mozart and Bach and Beethoven. That somewhere really developed the sense of counter harmonies and understanding complex counterpoints and symphonic constructs. So that's something that I don't use on my everyday pop music,
No.
but that's really helped me musically. I think I'm musically sound. I know what I'm doing. I write my harmonies myself and I don't rely on producers to write them for me. So yeah, to name a few, yeah, it's been a blend of lot, but one artist that I always loved was Michael Jackson. Who's not from UK,
Yes,
but Michael
yes.
Jackson, because the way he produced and churned out super hits,
Yes.
that's one. And in recent times, it has to be two artists. One is Ed Sheeran. I owe a lot to him because I'm doing music because of him,
Right.
and Dua Lipa. So these are my
Wow.
two favorite current ones.
Yes, Dua Lipa. Yes, she's doing very well, isn't she? And maybe in the future you might meet up with her. Then you might want to do a little bit of a duet for you. Just never know your luck.
I would, yeah. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that day.
Yes, hey man, dreams can come true anywhere. You don't have to be in New
Oh,
York.
yeah.
It could be anywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe that dreams can come true, and this is what I start my every day with.
Oh yes, lovely that.
Yeah, dreams don't work unless you do. So I need to make sure I'm at it.
You're at it, and indeed. Now you had a little bit of a change direction from Nemesis when you were in that band, because after considering a rather safer and alternative career path from the band, you studied engineering at KJ Somaya College and landed a key post at KPMG, one of the big four accounting organizations. But your heart and dreams remained in the music industry. You began to take regular trips to the USA, staying a week in New York and maybe a fortnight in LA, networking with key film music personnel at the AFI Festival and Golden Globes. It was a move that would pay off. Could you tell us what happened next as I hear the door of opportunity opened for you?
Yeah, there was so to get to somewhere, I always say it's gonna be a series of events that eventually leads you to one destination.
Yes.
And for that to happen, I had to put thought, what do I do? How do I get my music to the West? I also had a dream to work in Hollywood, and my dreams were always ridiculously, insanely large. And I
Yes.
really believe in that because
Yes.
if it's not large, I won't ever work towards it. So
Yeah.
uh, I mean, a random kid who has no influence in or family or contacts in the Hollywood, I had to figure it out. And that's why I made several trips. I landed up meeting some amazing people from the industry. Like I met the producer of the Motorcycle Diaries, which has been nominated at BAFTA and the Oscars and whatnot.
Right.
And I knocked at the door of Hans Zimmer's studio, believe it or not, literally in Santa Monica, without an
Wow.
appointment. Who is this crazy guy knocking at the door? I'm like, I want to meet Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
They interviewed me to assist Hans Zimmer, which went off well. I couldn't make it because I didn't have a legal work permit at that time. But then I started working towards how do I get a permit. So all these series of events, attending Golden Globe screenings, I was just networking. I just want to meet people, show them my work.
Yes.
And that's eventually what landed up in materializing in getting Marvel projects and working for Loki and Miss Marvel, which literally changed the path of my career entirely.
Yes, I was just going to mention that in 2018, you relocated permanently to New York, having solved a work permit issue. It was then that a music supervisor from CBS contacted and hired you. Later, you went on to compose soundtracks for NCIS Los Angeles, The Twilight Zone, as you mentioned, Loki TV series, Netflix film Resort to Love, which was produced by the famous Alicia Keys, and Marvel Cinematic Studios' Ms. Marvel TV series. What was it like being contacted by CBS to hire you?
It was so good. I'll tell you why. Because when I would first write to them, I would always get a common response
Right.
that we're not accepting unsolicited emails. And I was like, what does that mean? My films have gone to Cannes, and I've done so much global work already. But even then, they wouldn't accept my music. And but yeah, I kept at it, and I was approached for all of these by the studios themselves.
Yes.
Not a single one was through a sync agent or anything like that. It was all direct. And when they reached out, I was like, this is so rewarding because I've been waiting for this,
Yes.
and it finally happened. And one thing led to the other. It started off with CBS, NCIS Los Angeles was the first one, then the Twilight Zone. That led to this led to another one, and then finally Marvel. So it's been totally amazing.
It sounds it as well. In composing soundtracks for such major shows, were you given any guidance of what the shows were looking for the soundtracks?
Oh yeah, so all of these networks, they work differently. It's very very different. Whereas, for example, like CBS, they would tell me this is what they're looking at and this is the synopsis, etc., and then we would work on the soundtracks. When it comes to Marvel, they're extremely reserved about what goes out. I mean, we work on project codes. I don't even know which one I'm working on till the end.
Wow.
That's insane. It's amazing. And right now I'm in talks for some other Marvel projects as well, almost every week, but I don't know which one it is. I just know this is what it is. So they all are discrete and different in their own ways, but the most important thing for me is understanding the characters and the backdrop of the story and having a narrative, and then I present what I think goes well with that.
Yes.
Because if you're hiring me for this, they really rely on my expertise. That's what I love about them. They're sure they want to work with me. It's not like a gray area. All right, we'll try them out. They're very sure I'll be able to deliver, and that's what gets the best out of me.
Yes, and are you all normally given like a storyboard that so you can actually know when to put heavy brass sections into maybe the soundtrack and such, like to get the drama going?
Yeah, it's not just a storyboard. So it comes like in it's like sequence. So it starts off with a synopsis just to get an understanding. Then of course the storyboard and the character sketches. Like for
Yes.
me, the way I write music for character, I like to. It's almost like method acting. I like to get into the character's mind. So a lot of times I ask them, give me the backdrop of the character, because a lot of times the character backdrop is written, which doesn't even show in the movie.
No.
It's written because that's how they're gonna narrate the artist or the actor, so that he knows what he's gone through in his childhood, even if he's not playing the childhood in the movie.
Right.
I like all of that. I like to get into the details so that I know I can read their mind, and I just have to translate it into music. So all of this comes in, and sometimes we also do narration of the entire episode or the movie, which goes on for like three hours sometimes. But yeah, all of this comes in, which helps me sketch out the right music.
Because especially with the Marvel films and things, the music tends to be throughout the whole of the movie, and there is obviously quite a bit of dialogue, but you have to have the combination right, haven't you, with the storytelling, with the actors telling the story, and you're telling the story as well with the music in between the action parts, if you know what I mean.
Yes, absolutely. There's no space for letting it go even for like a second or a few minutes, because these are, especially with Marvel, they're so action packed.
Yes.
When I say action packed, I'm not just referring to just action, but even like there's something going on. There's never like so when I've worked on like independent movies, there are scope where you rely on just silence, because that's also important sometimes.
Yes.
But Marvel is like very it's packed with sequences, and music backs it up. Of course, we don't put all the music at the forefront. A lot of time it's just back.
Yes.
So one thing very interesting which we did in Marvel, I don't know if you've spotted it, but we have sometimes in some scenes we've played two different scores playing together. One
Right,
is a part
yes.
of the sound design, and one is just the score, and it's just playing with your mind as an audience, and it takes you into that zone, you know. So we do a lot of that, absolutely.
And it's wonderful that you're able to interpret what you've been given as like maybe on a script or a storyboard in order to bring the action to life.
Oh yeah, that's the entire meat of it, because I need to be able to add on to whatever we are trying to, whatever emotion we want the audience to feel. So we just need to get there, whether it's just visually or adding, and it's not just visually, it's a combination of audio and visual. Just imagine watching a movie without a background score. That's how I get the movies. When I get a movie, it's
Yes.
blank. I don't have the dialogues, and the moment we have all the music in it, it just transforms. It gets more cinematic with the music.
And when you actually do the soundtracks, do you actually do what they used to do? There's a famous clip which I've seen, but it's actually from an old film. It's actually, there's a film which Michael Caine did back in the 60s, I believe it was. It was Get Carter. And there's a bonus selection on the DVD. And the gentleman is actually playing the harp, like the organ, to sound like a harpsichord, and he's actually watching the film at the same time. So do you actually do it all live as the film is playing? Do you have an orchestra there and actually perform it live, so the soundtrack you're able to see what is on the screen, so it matches and syncs together with the action where it's meant to be?
So yeah, partly yes. So when I'm writing the score, so back then the way it was recorded, it was analog, and
Yes.
the entire we were before the world of sequencing, and now we are in the world of like virtual synth, virtual instruments and whatnot. So when I'm writing music, I don't even have my metronome on when I'm writing it.
Right.
No metronome, nothing. Because metronome is going to restrict me to one tempo. Sometimes I just change the tempo. I just write it to what I feel. It has to come out from my mind, my soul.
That's right. It's all over. It's
Yeah.
your soul. It's
Yeah. Yeah, nothing determines it. That all right, let's put a metronome. This tempo is right. This scale is right. Nothing. What I feel. Then when I have heard that and I'm like, hey, this sounds good, that's where we get into fine tuning it and laying it out again with a metronome and then orchestrating it within my DAW, which is digital audio workstation, and then we send it out for real orchestration. But it's already all laid out, very, very clearly. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's magical the way that the music technology has moved so fast. I mean, whatever next?
The next is a bit scary with this whole AI thing coming in.
Well, I was going to say that. I mean, that is a little bit extreme. I think that definitely has to be kept on a rein somewhere, so it doesn't take over, our jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I always say artificial intelligence, but I think we are far away from building artificial emotions. Like AI and like IQ and EQ, the emotional quotient.
Yes.
I don't think they can match up the emotional quotient what humans can. No. And I don't think that'll ever happen. I may be wrong, but this is what I feel.
To this day, that's how we feel. We can't be replaced at the moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's in the very distant future. Hopefully. Now, having seen enough of the music industry's oft exploitative mechanisms, you used your own label, A-Zal Music, when negotiating your film and TV work. Lots of labels approached you and your success has grew, but you didn't play into their hands, retaining most of your catalogue. What was it like working to keep your own rights to your compositions?
This was, first of all, this is a great question. In today's day and age, I think it's very important as well, because it's like you might have heard of what's going on with, Taylor Swift, new versions coming out. So I'm not in any way trying to say that, I don't want a record deal or all these things. I absolutely want to be associated with a good record label. I'm independent right now.
Yes.
But what was happening was I was being approached by a lot of production music catalogs.
Yes.
I don't want to name them, but they're like the biggest players, and you can see it in the credits.
Yes.
Like Atif Afzal Music is probably just one, and then you have all these big ones that you know of.
Yes.
So it was a conscious decision because I wanted to keep my rights with me, my copyrights with me. And also I knew that I'm going to really work hard to get these things through, reach out to the music supervisors, to productions, to films. And that's exactly what happened. I didn't want to be in a spot where I'm giving rights away and then I'm like, oh, hey, what's happening? I wanted to take control of my own music so that it could be tough. It took me like 3 years to get there. I might have gotten there earlier, or I might have never got there, but at least I knew I have control over it. And that is what was the driving factor.
Indeed, I mean, that's exactly what the Beatles did, you see. They had the Northern Songs, publishing and things like that. I mean, it takes a lot for somebody like yourself to go, this, you can use me music, but this is mine. You can only use it for these certain purposes and things. I think that's really, really good there. I think you've really done very well there, A-Zal, to do that. A lot of courage.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks so much. It was a tough decision though, because I could have easily been coaxed into doing that and feeling more comfortable that, hey, I'm with this good production library or catalog. But yeah, eventually it paid off.
It certainly has as well, and it comes across as well that you will always be an artist on your own terms, whether that involves setting up your own label or even performing in New York subway stations. You know what you want, and to that end, the next horizon is your own pop career, which has taken off fantastically well over in the States at the moment and will be across here in the UK as well. I know that for sure. Starting with the new single, Movie Script. Where did you get your inspiration from for recording this single? Because it's excellent. I love it.
Thank you. I'm glad you liked it, and it's like taken off well. Um, so when I thought about writing music and for myself, like I always wanted to do this, but it was a matter of time and just feeling it.
Yes.
Because if I'm not feeling it, what do I write? What do I tell? And I thought it was time I want to get my story out and not just keep writing for Marvel characters. I love that, but
Oh,
I want to be that character.
yes.
Uh, you know, I was like, what do I start off with? And I wanted to start off with something that I really believe in. So all the songs that are coming out have got something to do with my life, and that's why I say I take so much inspiration from Ed Sheeran, because that's how his songs and albums are as well. I mean, it's somewhere depicting his lives, and I closely monitor his lyrics. It's so insanely profound and true. So that I wanted to start off with something that I really believe in, and I know that I believe in, like I've already told you, dreaming, making life exciting. I left a corporate job to pursue my passion in music.
Yes.
It has to be exciting, it has to be cinematic, it has to be like a movie script, like it is a movie. And that's how I like to live my life. I'm not building a resume, I'm building a life, and it has to be like a movie script. And that's where the name came from, movie script. So that is the thought behind it.
And I absolutely love the video. Now, if you don't mind me saying, the video is like a modern take on an 80s Talking Heads style of video with a fun element. Is that something you set out to do from the start?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was the idea, that it has to have a fun element to it. It's not that I'm trying to make a profound statement here that we need to live life this way. It's
Yes.
more about celebration and enjoying life. So I had to get it out in a way which is also unique, because I wanted to make a statement. This is a self-directed video. It's
Fab.
it's
Great.
it's not got a great director to do this or anything. And I want to make a statement that an artist can think beyond what you feel you can. I never knew I could direct this video, and it's surprising that most people have been asking me questions more about the video. you know I'm like, so yeah, that was a conscious decision. But I had to also make a statement with a high quality video, and do the best I can with my first release, and which will set up the ground for all the releases.
Yes.
So my audience knows what they can expect, in my next release. And all my releases, all the videos going to be like having some concept like this, which is going to be crazy.
Yes, I rather like it as well. I don't know if you've ever heard of a show which was called Vic Reeves' Big Night Out, which was on in the UK, and their opening titles is a little bit like yours, when you've got the three sections, and you're
Okay.
doing that one on one of them. Well, you're doing robotics, aren't you? And then on another one, you're doing some mechanics.
It's
I
so
thought it
cool
was
that
great.
you just did that. I love it.
See, I have watched the video.
Yeah.
But yes, it's great fun, and there's been nothing but praise for this song, as I can see on YouTube as well. The listeners just love the catchy bass and the driving rhythm. Are you surprised by how big the song has become so fast?
Yeah. I knew that this song will go somewhere. Whether it's in like 3 months or 3 years, I don't know. But I knew I've made something good. But I didn't know it's gonna like have this kind of attraction, to be honest. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, all artists wants their song to do well, and so did I. But I wasn't. The start, the first 10 days, it took time.
Yes.
And I remember the 10th or 11th day where I got reports that, hey, it's making it to US radio, and it's in fact entered 114. I'm like, whoa, really? And the next week it goes from 114 to 93. 93, then the biggest jump, 93 to 61 or 62.
Wow.
And this week, or rather last week's, to 51. And I'm like, this is literally picking up. Like
Yeah.
this is good. So I didn't really expect it, but I'll be lying if I say, oh, I never expected this to happen. No, I knew something's going to happen, but yeah, because I had to go with that belief that I'm making something for something to happen, the audience to love it. And for me, it means a lot that, people are relating to it.
And have you appeared on any radio shows over there in New York at all? Have you been to KISS at all?
I haven't been to KISS, but we have several radio stations playing my music with a bit of snippet of mine. And that's very cool because it's eventually these radio stations that are reporting to the charts.
Yes.
You can't just chart like that because the song was good. It's the numbers and this radio spins, and you know better which counts. And what I'm really happy about is that these radio stations have picked it up, and they felt it was good to include with Taylor Swift and Dua Lipa and Jonas Brothers and Miley Cyrus. And I'm like, I still have that screenshot with me that A-Zal is between all of these, and I'm like, wow, this feels
it's great.
This feels so cool.
It's excellent. You'll have to get in touch with Rick Dees because he's very well known in the States. He used to be very well known over in the UK here. He used to do a show called The Weekly Top 40, and it was a network show, and it went on across the UK, but it was shipped over on reel-to-reel tape. But the gentleman Rick Dees is still doing the top 40 to this day, so maybe you'll have to get in touch with Rick Dees and say, I hope you're going to get my single as the one to watch.
I hope I can get in touch with him. I mean,
That's
I'd
right.
love to.
If you go to any of the radio stations in New York there, just say, have you got Rick Dees' number? Hey, as me mum says, Shy Ben's getting out. So you've got to go. You've just got to go for it. You've just got to go. All right, I've done the interview. Do you know how I can get in touch with Rick Dees? Because I'd like to be on his weekly top 40.
Okay, that's my next question to you.
There you go. And his website, by the way, is rick.com if you want to look him up.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah, rick.com. Yes, nobody else has got that name. It's rick.com.
Wow. Wow.
So he must have been straight in there. So yes, we'll look forward to hearing you on his show in the future. I know that for sure.
Awesome.
Now,
I'll look forward.
Fabulous. I'll look out for it. Now, do you have any future projects coming up that you could tell us about?
Yeah, so I have 2 records coming up in the next couple of years, and Movie Script is the first single from these 2 records. And you'll probably hear a new track every month or month and a half. It's going to be like an action-packed next 2 years. And I'm in fact working on my 3rd record right now because 2 records are ready for release, and they're all in the post-production. Some are in the mastering, some are in the mixing, some are in like the vocal production, etc. But right now I'm composing for my 3rd record, which I'll be releasing in the 3rd year from now, maybe 2026. So there's a lot of music I'm going to throw your way.
Loads and loads. Now, talking about music, have you ever bought a vinyl record? And if so, what's your favourite record that you would play today? Put the needle on the record.
Has to be Pearl Jam 10.
Pearl Jam 10, that is very good. That's very good. There's somebody that I work with, they'll be very proud that you said that. A gentleman called David James, he loves Pearl Jam, so he'll be pleased that you've said that. Because I've never heard anyone mention Pearl Jam on my radio show, but you have. That's excellent.
Wow. No, the thing about that record was usually some are amazing. Like Ed Sheeran has the capacity to give all hits,
yes,
like in Divide or Multiply. But Pearl Jam 10 had like all hit tracks. I mean, it's not that there are like 7 good tracks and 3 chartbusters. They all were epic for me.
Yes.
And I think even for the world, and that's why it's like Pearl Jam 10 has to be the one that comes to my mind first.
That's the one that comes straight to your mind. And did you like Nirvana as well? Did you mention?
Yeah, I love Nirvana a lot. I used to have some cassettes of Nirvana,
Right.
And I used to have a Walkman where I used to play the song. I heard a lot of Nirvana, and that was one of the first things I started hearing. So absolutely, Nirvana is a big up.
They're excellent artists they were, and they're getting lots of airplay on the radio. I think Pearl Jam needs more airplay on the radio. Maybe that'll have to get pushed forward there. As long as there's no
I'd love
naughty
that.
lyrics. It's a bit like Guns N' Roses. It's like somebody said to me, "Why don't you play?" I think it's called "Appetite for Destruction," the album. But
Okay.
there's a couple of songs there which are a little bit unsavory.
Oh, perhaps. Yeah,
A
which is
bit of,
a bit unusual to what Pearl Jam did in the early days.
That's right.
And maybe and maybe that's the thing. But yeah, you mentioned Guns N' Roses. Oh, I used to love them. I used to cover "Sweet Child of Mine" and
Wow.
and so many, other songs of Guns N' Roses. I think I still sometimes just pick up my guitar and play "Don't Cry" and
Right.
"November Rain" and whatnot on my piano. Yeah, just gold days.
Absolutely classic hits there, aren't there? And it's now brought us to ask you, just before we finish things up here, where can listeners follow you on social media?
I'm there on Instagram. I'm there on Facebook. My songs are there on Spotify. If they want to watch my music videos, which I would really love them to watch, because there's so much that has gone into making all of this. It's all on my YouTube channel, and everything is consolidated on my website, where they can even subscribe and be a part of the A-Zal music family at a-zal.com. So all these places, wherever they want to.
Excellent. Well, A-Zal, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. And finally, can you introduce your latest single, Movie Script?
It has been a pleasure being with you on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem.
And Movie Script is my debut single, celebrating life. Listen to it, enjoy it, and just feel life.
That's wonderful. A-Zal, good luck with your latest single, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Fabulous. Thanks very much. Take care now.
Take care.